there friends, it's me Lauren with Bold Notion Quilting, and I wanted to touch base with you guys today and talk to you a little bit about this new couching foot that we developed for 2018 APQS machines and older. We don't have them for 2019 machines and newer or for any other style of quilting machine, but I have a 2016 Millennium and I wanted to couch on my machine. So I got with an engineer and we made a couching foot. So the couching foot we have made a little bit shorter than normal feet so that you can adjust it up and down because the bulk of what you're working with might be a little bit more depending on the kind of yarns and different things that you're using. So you will have to be comfortable adjusting your hopping foot up and down and left and right, and I will show you how to do that in this video. It is also going to be compatible with any sit-down George machines, any stand-up Lenny machines, Lucy, Freddie, and Millie, all of 2018 vintage and older. You have to have the interchangeable hopping foot. Now, maybe you don't know what the interchangeable hopping foot is. If you can't take your foot off at all, you don't have it. If you have the version after that foot that has this square flat side with a 2-screw interface, this is what is compatible with the couching foot that I have made. So let's take a look at what's included in the couching foot kit and let's see how to install it and how to use it and see if it's a good fit for you. Let's take a look. Alright, so I have since sold my APQS 2016 Millennium. So what I have left to show and to demo this foot for you guys is my George. So you'll get a chance to see how this works in action. There are some videos on my Bold Notion Quilting Facebook channel and also on the YouTube channel for seeing this in action with my Millennium, so you can believe that it works with both, but I'm going to show you what is included. So with your couching foot kit, you get the extra large couching foot. Now this looks a lot like our retrofitted scoop foot, except it has a funnel and a hole at the bottom. Okay, and it's, like I said, I call it semi-transparent because it's not clear like glass, but you can see the variation of the different things underneath it. See how you can see that white yarn underneath it? This is going to come with 3, not just 2. We only need 2 for install, but it's going to come with 3 half-inch screws because the interface of this foot is a little bit thicker than the previous feet for the interchangeable hopping foot that you had before. Okay, so you've got your couching foot, you've got your screws to install it. You're also going to get a side funnel. I'll show you what this is for and how it's used, but it's going to help you keep that yarn where it needs to go so that you don't have to work with the yarn in one hand and the machine in the other, or fabric. You're also going to get 2 loopers. Can you see these shiny things? These 2 loopers are going to allow you to take the yarn and pass it through the foot with ease, and then an R7 screw, which is going to help you install your funnel. So let's get these things installed on the machine. Okay, so if you have an interchangeable hopping foot, you should already have the Allen key that goes with changing out your different feet. Okay, your kit does not come with an Allen key. Your interchangeable hopping foot comes off with 2 screws. Okay, so we're going to take off those screws. We're going to take off our ruler foot. Okay, just slide that sucker off. And you can see the difference in length of the 2 screws. Okay, so we're going to use our silver screws that are included. They have the same hex head interface as your previous foot. With George and Lenny, you're going to probably have to lower this to get it on, and that's just because your shaft is a little bit shorter, which means you're going to have to get your foot, your needle in the hole of the foot so that it will lower this shaft here and you can get the screws into the right place. You should be able to start the screws just with your fingers. Get them in as much as you can, but just start to get them to grip, and then you can use your Allen key to get them in there. Okay, once that is in, get it screwed in nice and tight. I'm going to need you to lift up your needle. With a Millennium or with a Freddie or Lucy, your shaft is a little bit longer, so you don't actually have to put the needle down in order to do that, but it's nice to kind of see where the foot's going to fit. Okay. With that said, though, you need to put the needle down and see if it is center in the hole. If it is not, you are then going to need to make adjustments to swing your foot left and right and to check its height top to bottom. With all of your APQS machines, you should have this little hole right here, just top left to your tensioner disc. This little hole allows you to adjust the height of your hopping foot and also swivel the angle left to right. The biggest thing that you need to remember for setting up your couching foot is to get this needle as center with the hole as possible. This is very important. There is such little leeway for the needle to be able to catch the yarn so that you don't have to hold and funnel the yarn, that you need to get it precisely where it needs to be. So if you put your needle in the lowest position, all the way down, this screw is going to show through the hole. This is not something I can show you in the video, but trust me, it's a single slotted screw. You're going to have to stick the screwdriver in there. Once you get it in, you'll do righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, so I will leave it in. I will not take the screwdriver out once I find the screw. I will turn it left, and I will adjust my foot up or down, left and right. Okay, so my foot was already pretty high. With my couching foot, I like to put it at 3 or 4 business cards high. Okay, and so once I adjust that, I'm going to check center. And then once I have it at the height that I want to be with the needle totally down, and once I've got it center, I will go ahead and tighten and crank on that screw so that it is in place. I will double check by raising my needle and lowering it a couple times manually before I actually stitch. So before I get thread stuck in that hook, let's give it a go. Make sure you check it from a couple angles, because eyes and light can kind of be deceiving. Okay, and I do need to push this just a little farther left. Alrighty, now we're in business. So the reason that you want that needle to be center in the hole is because you will have needle deflection, and you don't want the needle to hit the foot in any direction as you're going, which can happen if your needle gets pulled in any one direction. So centering it up is going to give you the best case scenario for this. Now, let's add the funnel so we can get ready to start couching. When you're putting your foot on, you want to ensure that your needle is center, so you're going to check that here. We're going to test first by doing it by hand. So I am moving the flywheel down and I'm watching my foot so that I know if my needle is going to be center. I usually put it down just a little bit to where the fattest part of the needle, which is the tip, you can see where that is. And you can see all around some empty space between that needle and that foot. So where you see that dark purple in the middle, that's where I can see space all around, and you want to check it left and right, front and back, and as you're adjusting your foot through this hole, which I'll show you how to do in just a moment, you can swivel this foot left and right, okay? And then you'll tighten this down in here to make sure that it is nice and center. You need to get it nice and center because the space with the needle and with the yarn, and then the possible deflection as your fabric or machine are moving, whether you're using a stand-up long-arm quilting machine or if you're using a sit-down quilter, you just need to make sure that you have enough space so that as that needle moves, it doesn't accidentally hit or chip your foot. Okay, and it's made with a funnel so that that yarn can go right into this funnel and then down into the foot, which is also funneled, so that you can work with the machine or with your fabric and use your hands to guide your machine or your fabric to do the couching, as opposed to having to guide the yarn with one hand and to work your fabric, which would be almost impossible with the sit-down quilting machine, or your machine with standing machine with the other hand. Okay, so I want to just take a minute and show you what center looked like. Next, we want to add our funnel. Now this funnel can probably get in the way of your hands if you're hand quilting, but you're going to have to figure out your rhyme or reason for where to put your hands while you're quilting. The goal of the funnel, you can see it's got this little oval slotted hole here that will allow you to move it left or right. Every machine can be just a little bit different. It's just to hold the yarn as close to the needle as possible. And you'll see that your R7 screw that comes included with your foot is a little bit longer than the normal R5 cover screw that you have. Get that in there, get it started, get it kind of loose, and then check to make sure that it's where it needs to be. Okay, you can even swivel it left and right if needed. Okay, so that's in there. You just got to get it decently tight. The lights are so bright it can be hard to see, but now you can see you've got your foot, you've got your needle centered in your hole, and you've got your funnel ready to accept your yarn. So now we need to get our yarn all loaded up and ready to go. The last thing you'll need is one of these needle threader loopers, right? So they are stuck onto the yarn that's included so that you don't lose them and you can quickly tell where they are. They are just like a needle threader where they've got the little loop at the top that when you put your yarn through, it kind of locks in there and it gets stuck so it doesn't go anywhere. Looks like it's floating, that's funny. The next thing you want to do is take your yarn. So your yarn is connected to your actual yarn spool, and you're going to give yourself a lot of extra slack here. On a longer machine, you can give yourself slack in the direction that your machine is moving so that you have plenty of space. On a sit-down machine, you've got to stay on top of that slack a little bit more frequently. We're going to take the looper and we're going to put it through our funnel because we need our yarn to go through our funnel. Okay, and then we want to go down into the foothold. Okay, so we're going to take the looper and we're going to move our machine or move our fabric because this doesn't just poke right through, and then we're going to pull that yarn through so that it is now in the funnel down into the foot. We're going to take our looper, secure it back onto our sample piece of yarn because they go missing because they're so easy to lose, and we're going to put this to the side. Next, we're going to secure our stitches and begin stitching. Now, I usually begin stitching before I put my yarn in because I have to move my fabric or my machine. So I will put my needle down and needle up, move my fabric, and I will hold my yarn to one side so that the needle can't catch it. What that means is that when your yarn slack starts to get taut, your needle's not going to catch it. The goal of this is to work with the funnel to stitch the yarn down accordingly so that you can couch. And then I'll just do a couple of tacking stitches over the yarn. Make sure that you have your slack. It would be wise to keep all of your extra pieces to one side, and then you can begin quilting. Okay, so we're going to get our slack ready to go. Make sure that doesn't fall off, isn't in our way. And we want to keep our slack coming in the angle of the funnel. All right, so we're just going to start off slow. You want to try to pick a thread that will match with your yarn because you will see it stitched on top. I am stitching with a black thread. Okay, and as I'm going around circles, no device is perfect. This isn't going to work 100% of the time. You have to adapt to the foot and the speed of your machine. If you go too fast around curves, it might miss the stitches, but if you stay at a good consistent speed while you're stitching, I stitch this slow on a sit-down machine because I'm not as good on my sit-down machine as I am on my long arm machine. But if you start to find that for some reason your curves aren't holding, you'll need to do one of two things. You might need to lower your foot. If you were at 4 business cards high, put it down to 3 so that you get a little bit more compression as the foot is going through and stitching, or you might want to slow down your machine just a little bit. Okay, couching is one of these things that we do for fun, so it's something that you're just going to have to play with until you get it just right. But you can continue to couch, and I'll do a little bit more, and then I'll show you how I tack everything off. If you notice that you start to get something wadded up in your funnel, make sure you get it nice and loose. You don't have that problem as much on a long arm machine as you do on a sit down. Just keep your slack kind of far away, and that should prevent it from staticking and looping like that. I feel the need to cut my strands, so I'm just going to cut those because I tacked them down. I'll just continue quilting for a bit. Oh, where have you been all my life? Now you'll notice as the yarn starts to get too taut, you may miss some stitches, so keep track of your slack. That's going to be the biggest thing that's going to help you while you're couching. I love that I can use this foot without having to use both of my hands, because as a sit-down quilter, even as a long-arm quilter, I don't want to guide that yarn with my hands. I want to focus on quilting. And that's something that I can do with this setup. This foot is proprietary to Bold Notion Quilting. You can find it on boldnotionquilting.com. And if you're looking to get one, we have a limited quantity. We made a small first batch. I have tested these with APQS reps, and we are ready now. Oh, all my yarn fell. We are ready now to have them out there and ready for you guys to use. Your foot is going to come with a 1-year warranty from date of purchase on normal wear and tear. That doesn't mean that if you fail to center your foot and you chip a hole in your foot that it's covered, because that's not normal wear and tear. It would be if there were some kind of structural defect with your foot when you purchased it. Okay? Now this isn't looking amazing, but like I said, I do much better on my long arm machine. So go ahead and give it a go. If you guys have any questions, feel free to email me at boldnotionquilting@gmail.com. Again, this foot is for our Legacy vintage machines, so the machines that have the round throat in the back, just like my George does here. And the foot is compatible with George, Larry, Lucy, Freddie, and Millie on 2018 machines or older that have the interchangeable hopping foot and are not the new quick change system. So again, that interchangeable hopping foot is this 2-screw setup on the back that allows you to remove and to change your feet. When you are all done, you're going to secure your threads like normal. So you'll do a couple of tacking stitches. Move your fabric. And if you're on your long arm quilting machine, you'll move your needle. And then what I'll do to remove my yarn, you don't pull up from the needle, you cut near the funnel and you pull your fabric or your machine away. And then you can bring your machine over, pull that bobbin thread up like you would on your normal long arm machine, and then cut those threads. Try to cut them as close as you can to where you tacked them off. And if you knotted it correctly, all of this will be locked down, okay? And it'll be fine. So make sure that you just put a couple of tacking stitches, put 5 or 6 if that makes you feel more comfortable, so that nothing comes undone when you're done. But the one thing I want you to see is that you want to pull your yarn and fabric out through the hole of the foot and past the needle, as opposed to trying to pull it up through the needle, because it will get stuck on all of the yarn. Thank you guys for joining me today for this quick tutorial on both how to install and how to use your new couching foot for your APQS quilting machine. Again, Legacy version 2018 models and older. And I hope that you guys will have some great fun using these. We do have a very limited first batch that is out, and I'm aware this video will be out, forever for you guys to be able to use and to come back to. And we will continue to make more batches and allow them on back order so that we can just make and use what is going to be sold. So you guys have a wonderful day. I hope if you've seen this video and you have an APQS machine and you're excited to get couching, that you share this with your fellow APQS owners. Share it in the We Love APQS group or any other groups out there that might have APQS machines, that we can let people know that a couching foot is finally available. It is something that I've wanted forever, and I'm so excited to have it. We will begin working on having them made for the 2019 and newer machines, but there is no guarantee when or if that will come out, because this has taken 2 years for us to work on and to get set just right for you guys. So take a gander at that. The best yarn to use is just your standard 40 weight yarn, but feel free to experiment with other yarns, and know that if you use a thinner yarn, you might want to lower your foot just a little bit more, and if you use a thicker yarn, you might want to raise your foot just a little bit more, and then adjust your speed faster or slower if for some reason those different weights of yarn that you're using need a little bit of help going around the curves and doing different things. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to see what you guys create, and I hope that you'll join us in our Bold Notion Quilting Open Studio group and share with us what you've created with your couching foot. So y'all take care. Feel free to share this video and let other people know that a couching foot is now available. Thank you guys for joining me. Again, I'm Lauren with Bold Notion Quilting. You can find your couching foot on boldnotionquilting.com. Have a wonderful day, y'all. Bye.